Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're looking at The Superior Spider-Man Returns, Issue 1 by Dan Slott, Christos Gage, Mark Bagley, Ryan Stegman, Humberto Ramos, and Giuseppe Camuncoli. Spider-Man comics are finally getting good again, as this issue acts as a jumping off point for the new Superior series coming in a couple of weeks, and we begin by following Doc Ock as he backtracks through his life to the research base where the accident that turned him into Doc Ock happened, and it's all so he can try and continue his work that he was doing then, creating a self-sustaining energy via a miniature sun. This harkens back to his original origin, and of course most people probably would have seen it in Spider-Man 2. It's here that Otto finds himself in a bit of a predicament, since he apparently succeeded in creating the device and making a self-sustaining energy while he was the Superior Spider-Man. However, he cannot remember how. The rest of the issue is a flashback to Otto's days as Spider-Man, and it's like it never stopped being written. While I'm not currently reading The Amazing Spider-Man, I am aware of all of the total crap which is going on with Goblin Queens and Souls and sins of Norman Osborn in Peter and just all this really weird shit that kind of removes the whole friendly neighborhood Spider-Man feel from Spider-Man. Here though, it feels like it's still there. This just feels like an issue of Superior Spider-Man that Dan Slott would have written during his time on that book. And here we see him battle the villain Slide as he steals some tritium from Alchemex and tries to escape through the city. Slott and Gage make writing Spider-Man just looks so easy, and it just makes me question what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man that much more. Like, how can those writers mess it up so much when these guys just make it look like something which is just so easily done, and just, the formula is there, so just follow the formula, it works. Spider-Man, despite being Otto Octavius, is having fun defeating the villain. We get a cool moment where he helps the cops arrest Slide and then silence Slide when he tries to say that Spider-Man tritium and everything. It's really fun, and it's stuff I really missed about the Superior time, that Otto arrogance inside Peter, and it just comes through so well throughout this entire issue. Of course, Otto wasn't just helping keep the city safe, since he stole the tritium from Slide, the substance he needs to grow a miniature star and continue his work on the sustainable energy. But he can't do it alone, so he goes to Empire University to hire an assistant, and he does so in that of Estrella Lopez. I quite liked how the writers approached this new character of Estrella as someone who's very smart, and Spider-Man sees that she is very smart and ends up kind of bonding with her over that, although we do find out that that is just kind of a facade. This is Otto we're talking about, so he's just kind of placating her a little bit and sort of humoring her. You know, he views no one as smart as him, but he's humoring her so she'll do the work for him. And I quite like that dynamic that they're using here, especially since Estrella does find out about it as she joins the Spiderlings, which is the group that I kind of wish stayed around, which is the little group that Otto had when he was Spider-Man, who were just numbered beings who would just help him do his work and were dressed in these pretty cool Spider-Man costumes. They just kind of went away. I don't really remember what happened to them, but I kind of wish they stuck around at some sort of capacity. Anyway, they invade AIM and they take some tech for his experiments, and Spider-Man's treatment of Estrella comes to a head and ends up biting him in the ass as he just completely disregards her when she comes up with how this device could be used and could be used correctly, and instead decides to go out on a date with Anna Maria, which I'm very happy about. I'm glad that Anna Maria's back. Again, it's another character I really enjoyed from the Slott era, and I'm glad that she's going to be making a comeback through this series. But his treatment of Estrella ends up causing her to use the power of the sun to become a supervillain called Supernova, who has the entirety of a sun within her, and she's a living star, more or less. Of course, she's very angry with Spider-Man and wants to try and kill him, but Otto is definitely more smarter than her and ends up trapping her in a containment pod, the same pod that Otto in the present finds, and since he can't remember what's in it, he decides opening it, thinking that he's cracked the code for this sustainable energy, and in doing so, he unleashes a very angry Supernova, who of course wants to kill Spider-Man, not realizing that Otto was the Spider-Man that she was working for, and Otto sees nothing wrong with that. Of course, he wants this villain who is a literal sun god to go and try and kill Spider-Man. It's a very cool setup to what I assume will be the basis of the Superior Spider-Man book, and I'm intrigued to see what they will actually do with that, since I assumed this first issue would be Otto regaining the Superior Spider-Man persona and becoming Spider-Man again. I know there was some stuff being built up in the Amazing Spider-Man book, but as far as I know, it hasn't been done yet, so I'm intrigued to see how these things are all going to be connected. Especially since what makes this issue so enjoyable, apart from returning to a much better time written by much better Spider-Man writers, is just how disconnected it feels from what's happening in Amazing Spider-Man. There's no Goblin Queens, no Osborn sins, no inside Spider-Man's head turning into goblin gliders and stuff like that. Really weird stuff. It's just Otto trying to get one over on his nemesis, and I love it for that. It's just excellent. It's a very simple premise, which is really ironic considering how kind of complex the original Superior Spider-Man setup was, with Otto downloading his mind into Peter and taking over Peter's body and mind. Very complex, but compared to what's happening in the Amazing Spider-Man book now, it's nothing. It's child's play. Anyone could understand it. Because of that disconnect though, this issue feels very reader friendly, especially because as well the opening pages of this issue are pretty much a recap on the Superior Spider-Man and how Otto decided to become Spider-Man and download his brain into Spider-Man and all that sort of stuff. I do however recommend, I highly recommend actually, you go and read the Superior Spider-Man series. It's fantastic. It's an excellent part of Spider-Man history, and one admittedly at the time people did not like, though this is Spider-Man. People don't like it when Spider-Man does Spider-Man stuff for some reason, but it's a fantastic read and I highly, highly recommend it. Mark Bagley, Ryan Stegman, Humberto Ramos, and Giuseppe Camuncoli, probably 4 of the best Spider-Man artists in the last 20 or so years, make a return for this issue and deliver some just brilliant looking artwork. I'm definitely very partial to Stegman's Spider-Man. It's got a very 90s Todd McFarlane look to it. However, it's coupled with modern coloring and drawing techniques, which make for a very unique and detailed experience through his fight with Slide. I like all the detail in everything, and just the coloring is just really fantastic and stands out. And Humberto Ramos, who did a bit of the Superior stuff before this, also puts in some awesome looking work and brings back probably my favorite Superior suit. It's the one with the spider up on the chest and then the lower legs are all the dark blue and he's got like the gauntlets on. I really love that costume, especially with the robot arms coming out of the back. It just looks fantastic and it's a great unique look for the Otto Spider-Man. Slott and Gage's return to the Superior Spider-Man well is a win in my book. It's a return to form for most of these characters and a return to a time in Spider-Man comics that is ironically a lot simpler than whatever is going on right now. The issue is also extremely reader friendly. It's got a lot of the backstory covered in the first couple of issues to get you caught up on what's going on, so really there's no excuse to not pick this issue up. I can't wait for the ongoing to begin soon, and I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.